Cuddy.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting of April 11th, 2019 to order. Okay. Then take the roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Here.
Council members Achara.
Here.
Napolitani.
Here.
Shephaka.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here. Everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance, and then please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer thereafter.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on December 27th, 2018. There are two fire exits, one to my left, which will take you out to the back parking lot, and one to my right, which will take you out to the front parking lot. If you have a cell phone, I ask that you turn the volume down. If you need to make a call, kindly go out into the hallway. I think that's it on that one. We have a couple presentations tonight. We'll be brief, but before we get to that, I'm just going to see, do we have any council reports? John, you have anything?
Yes, real quick. I know the residents have been questioning the purchase of 1515 Logan Road, which is in Wanamassa. The mayor and I had a meeting with the Board of Education on Monday evening, and we're in discussions with them right now. They're going to continue looking into the feasibility of utilizing that property or a piece of it for their board offices. So we'll still be discussing that for a little while. Also, we have the Mayor's Charity Ball. This will be the last time I get to make this announcement because I won't be at the next meeting. I have to go pick my mother up in another state. So Mayor's Charity Ball is Saturday, May 4th. This will benefit the Maya Lynn Terry Foundation. I have information up here. We have invitations along with sponsorship opportunities, but right now we are poised to probably make the most money that we've ever made for the charity. We're going to be over $50,000 right now, so I think it's absolutely fantastic. We are almost sold out. I believe we're at 190 seats right now, so if you're interested, I would contact the Maya Lynn Terry Foundation or myself on Facebook. We also have 50-50 tickets for a giant 50-50, but I would get those tickets if you're going to do that. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Donna?
Yes, I have three things. The Shade Tree Commission and the Environmental Commission is having a Green Fest that will take place on Saturday, April 13th from 10 to 3 at the Ocean Township Library. It's on our website or our Facebook page for additional information. There's going to be demonstrations and a lot of events. I have one flyer here. If anybody's interested, I can give that to them. I have Oakhurst Fire Department is having breakfast with the Easter Bunny from 9 to 12 on Sunday, April 14th at 72 Larkin Place. And we are also having the Township's Extravaganza taking place at 11 a.m. at Oakhurst Fireman's Field. We ask that you bring your own baskets, please. And we also will have crafts for children, and it is for kids ages 3 to 10. And that should be a lot of fun. And the third thing is this month our Shade Tree Commission will be distributing tree seedlings in tubes, which is tubelings or tree seedlings in tubes, to our school's third grade classes in honor of Arbor Day. And the fourth thing that unfortunately I forgot, Mayor, is that we have on the 28th of April, we have clean sweep over at Oakhurst Park.
Good.
And that is beginning at 11 a.m.
Great, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Rich?
Yes, I have one item tonight, Mayor. As the Vice President of the Community Hope Fund, I'm pleased to announce our nonprofit is offering grants to local organizations that promote positive youth development. The application form is available at the Township's Department of Human Services on Deal Road, or the application can be downloaded from the Community Hope Fund website. The applications are due by this coming May 31st.
Good, thank you. Rob, anything?
Planning board meeting this Monday night. Don't have the agenda yet, but it should be posted shortly. April 15th meeting usually starts at 7 o'clock upstairs. Workshop, and then 7:30 down here.
Good. Mike?
I have nothing this evening.
our sub-attorney here, Matt Good. With the law firm of Good, Arbus, and Maybrook.
No report tonight.
Well, listen, I have an assistant, assistant mayor as of today. So
It's up today.
I have two things just to mention real quick. Mike Davenport of the Environmental Commission has worked very hard on this document for us. It's the ERA draft, and it's online now. We posted it. Take a look at it. It's a very important document in helping us meet our Sustainable Jersey certification, and also the idea is to have this put into our master plan as well as a resource inventory, a natural resource inventory, and baseline for all the resources that we have, environmentally significant features of the area. It's almost 200 pages, well worth it. Mike's worked on this a lot, Environmental Commission helped him, but Mike took the bull by the horn here, worked on this document. It's online now, take a look at it. Very important document. If you care about the environment, you'll care about this. Also, just an update I got from the freeholder unknown. We had seen him today, along with some others, at a ribbon cutting for a affordable housing project, and they sent the email over here as far as anybody who lives in Wayside or along that corridor there are affected by the odor that was going on up there at the dump site. They have 17 wells are now tied into an existing vacuum system, and within the next 3 weeks, construction of the new landfill gas collection system will be started, and all the wells will be tied into that collection system. So they're working diligently to get that ameliorated, that whole system up there, and hopefully we'll be back to normal shortly. That was it on that. So tonight, we have our presentation. I'm sorry. Yeah. We have a proclamation here. We're going to come down from the dais for a minute. I'm going to call somebody up. Everybody want to come with me? Sure. I'm going to embarrass Michelle. Where do we go? I guess we'll go back here because we have more room.
She looks so studious with her.
Oh, yeah. So we have a proclamation tonight. Come on over, Rich. And this is National Donate a Life Month. So this is organ donor, deals with all that. So we have Michelle and Jackie with us tonight. So Michelle and Jackie, come on up for a moment, as we're pleased to come around this way. Right. Thank you, Jackie. What's your name?
Jackie Patterson.
Patterson. And Michelle
Napolitani.
Oh my goodness, that name sounds so familiar. But so you guys,
I keep that under your wrap, so I wouldn't tell too many people.
You guys brought this also to us, and we're honored to be able to do this. Anything you want to say about it, either one of you?
We want to thank you for supporting this good cause.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to say that this Donate Life Month is a month to celebrate those who have received transplants, to recognize those who continue to wait, to honor donors and donor families, and to thank registered donors for giving hope. So thank you, Mayor and Council and Ocean Township, for supporting the April Donate Life and Donate Awareness Month.
Well, it's our pleasure to do so, and I happen to be an organ donor because I figure you can't take them with me. If they want mine, they can have them. I don't know that they'll want mine. So, without reading it all the way through, but a very important thing to make aware to folks that it's out there for you. So, I, Christopher Siciliano, Mayor of Ocean Township, along with the entire governing body here, do proclaim April 2019 as Donate Life Month. In the Township of Ocean, New Jersey, I urge all residents to join me in promoting again and tissue donor education throughout the National Donate Life Month. We want to present this to you guys on behalf of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have enough pictures of John.
Right, of course. Great, thank you. Thank you guys so much for continuing to keep up the good work. Thank you. Good.
Whoops. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to do it from up there, though. He didn't want any fanfare. He has to be here, so
Who's thinking of you? Besides me? Besides me?
Hey, you know what?
Oh, did you really?
Okay. And we also have one more. I'm just going to mention that it's a Municipal Clerks Week, 50th anniversary, May 5th through the 11th of 2019. Municipal Clerks Week, which we have a municipal clerk up here now. We celebrate.
Occasionally.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Okay. So, get on with the business at hand. The purpose of the public portions is solely ask questions, understand. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to go do that first, right? We do have a gentleman sitting here. I almost walked right by him 3 times and didn't even notice he was here. Our Chief Financial Officer, Steve Gallagher, is now going to do our 2019 municipal budget presentation, which he works very hard on months out of the year. And he's always working on it. It's like a Picasso, or it's like a work of art. But Steve's really working hard on this. I come in many nights to pick up documents or maybe look at something. There's Steve in his office working on our budget. So he's going to give us a little preview of what it looks like for 2019.
Actually, you should have done it the other way.
That's good. That's good, Steve. Yeah. That one's good too.
You already used 10 minutes of your presentation time. Stevie G, you want to use that? Yeah, use it.
Okay, this is the most exciting time of my year, which is to come in front of you guys and give this great presentation about a town I care deeply about, and I can't say enough about. We really have a very good operation here. We've got a great governing body. We have a great staff, department heads on all the way down. They assist me in the preparation of the budget, and they're all very conscientious about the way they spend your tax dollars. And what I'm going to do here is present our 2019 township budget, which was introduced at the last meeting and will be adopted at the next meeting.
That's it, Steve. The sign of the Z. I actually remember this.
That's what I
That's kind of our theme tonight is zero, because this year we have a $0 increase in the tax levy. Okay, we've had the same tax levy for the past 3 years, and so we've had for the municipal portion of the taxes that you all pay, we have not contributed to any increase whatsoever. And the 2019 budget is brought to you by the number 3.
Is this plagiarism? Copyright?
No, I paid for these.
You paid copyright infringement?
great.
It's fair use. Fair use.
Exactly.
Okay. We got to let them out
And
of
it's
the
also
office
brought
world.
to you by the letter Z. Z as in zero.
That's great.
Okay, and as you can see, our municipal tax levy for 2017, 2018, and 2019 is the same number, $21,323,361, an increase of 0 between 2017 and 18, and another increase of 0, the letter Z, for 2018 to 2019. And so I told Vinny it'd be 3 slides, and that's what I gave him here. So it's now the questions and answers about the 2019 budget. Oh, what? Wait, you want more? You want charts and graphs and number crunching analysis. Super. Well, I'm here to give it to you. Okay, so for 2019, the budget objectives are pretty much the same as we do almost every year. We want to stabilize taxation. We want to maintain the quality of life in the township, which means that we want to provide the same level of services that you're all used to and provide it as efficiently as we possibly can. Okay. Balancing personnel needs, right-sizing the workforce. This is always an issue. We try to maintain a lean workforce here, and we've done very well. I like to refer to a concept that I call emotion, which is where a lot of the departments help out with each other. Most notably, you'll see that down in our tax office, where the tax office and the clerks and finance work together to provide tax collection as well as some of the clerk duties. And we do that in other places as well. Sometimes I reach out to Public Works if I need some help, but we all kind of work together. Managing employee benefit costs, and I've got a slide on this a little further, but you know, the employee costs for the township are quite substantial. I mean, most of what we do is provide services to you, the residents, and that takes people. And I'll talk about that later. More shared services. We're always trying to look for opportunities to work with other governments and to work with the ones that we have in town. The Board of Ed is most notably one of our partners. We do a lot with them, and they do a lot with us. More reliance on technology. One of the things we like to do is to make sure that the people who are here have the tools that they need in order to provide the services to you. And sometimes that takes technology. It frees them up to focus more on what needs to be done on the human side. Okay. Continued investment in infrastructure, the roads, parks, and the facilities. And then that's it for the objectives for right now. But maintaining the quality of life, you know, these are some of the things that we've done. The restoration of Poplar Brook, the back portion of Poplar Village, that has been converted back to open space. That project is done. Brookside Avenue Blue Acres program, we've completed that project. The active alternative transportation network. When we do road projects now, we're trying to do more curbing and sidewalks and expand our bike lanes so that you can get around town without having to use a car. Our tree replacement program, as Donna had pointed out, the shade tree is doing the trees in a tube. So, you know, this is all the kind of things that we're trying to work with. Parking lot expansion and trail improvements at Joe Palea Park. We're starting to expand the parking lot so that we can have more people be able to park and use the park facilities. And we're also working on trying to improve the trailways themselves. One of the things we want to do is to put in some anti-traffic devices along the trail so that when we have big events like the Italian American Festival, we can provide the security to the people who are going to the event without having to tear up the park. Sometimes the trucks they use as a traffic barrier tend to damage the lands along the side of the trails. Okay, and then improvements to West Park Avenue pool and tennis facility. We put in the activity pool last year, and we're working on doing some improvements to the pool building itself this year. And then we have the 3 affordable senior housing complexes are all open, and I believe they're all packed. We've got every one of them fully occupied. And then the township newsletter, which was restarted by Mayor Siciliano. We continue to send that out to be an informative bulletin to the taxpayers. Okay. Managing employee benefits. Now, when I was working on my user-friendly budget, which the division now requires us to do in addition to our regular state budget, I found some interesting things, some interesting statistics, okay? out of our $37.5 million budget for 2019, $22.3 million of that, or about 60% of that budget, is for salary and wages and benefits. And that's a super number. I mean, that's a lot. Okay, and those are the people who provide, you know, police services, the tax collection, the garbage pickup, all of the services that you currently get. Out of that 22.3 million, just about 6.9 million, or about 18.5% of the overall budget, is for salary benefits, which would be for health, employment taxes, insurance, and pension costs. Now, out of those expenses, we can't do anything about pension. Pension is dictated by the state. They send us a bill, they say pay it, and we have to pay it. The same thing with the employment taxes. You know, Uncle Sam says, hey, I want my numbers, and we have to send that off to them. We don't have a choice. But we do have some control over health benefits and insurance costs. And what we've done is, you know, we've eliminated certain levels of coverage for new employees. We have a lower base level of health insurance coverage for all employees. What I mean by lower base is that there are several different types of insurances that you can get with state health benefits, which we're a member of. And so instead of going for the Cadillac plan, we have one that's a little lower down. Now, it's not that big of a drop as far as what the employee is paying out of pocket. You know, I'm talking about, instead of a $10 copay, they might pay a $20 or a $25 copay for a visit. But the savings in premiums is quite significant, up to about 25% of the Cadillac type plan that is offered. We don't prevent employees from taking any of the plans that they want to, but if they want something above the base level, they have to pay the premium differential. Okay, so that's how we try to encourage our employees to look at some of the lower cost options. And we incentivize some of them as well. All employees are at the maximum contribution for Chapter 78. Now, Chapter 78 sunsetted some years ago. Okay, that is, the provision says that you have to contribute a certain dollar amount depending on your salary level. However, we have not sunsetted Chapter 78, and a lot of towns haven't either. But there are some towns that are renegotiating that down. We feel it's important for the employees to understand the cost that the town is incurring for health insurance costs, and try to work with the employees so that both parties benefit. We've revised the salary step progression for our PBA, so we don't do a COLA cost increase with the regular step increase. The step increases are pretty significant to begin with, 8 to 10% a year, which is a nice increase for anybody to get. So we've taken the COLA out of that. And we've also eliminated, or we've fixed longevity pay for new hires. Okay. And we've also cut back on vacation and sick leave allotments to our public works employees. Okay. And we've capped sick pay, leave payouts at retirement for clerical and new supervisory hires. Okay. Shared services, and many of you have seen this list before. We have our regional recycling center, which is a fabulous facility, and I actually got to use it a couple of weeks ago to get rid of some paint cans that I had that were empty. And it's really a nice facility. You can get rid of a lot of the household stuff that you've got there. You know, they've got construction stuff and paper and cardboard and things like that. It really is a nice facility. We've got the 9/11 services that we share with Eatontown. TOSA shared services, we do all of their billing and collections. That particular service right there took 6 employees and made it 2. So that was very successful, and we do everything through the tax collector's office. Okay. The shared services with the West Long Branch Court, we do their court services here. They have it every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. That has worked out really well. We also do vehicle maintenance with Seacoast Chevrolet. This is really to keep our police vehicles on the road. Sometimes, especially when we have bad weather, or maybe we have a few cars that break down, we don't want the police cars sitting around. So what we do is we'll partner with Seacoast, and anytime we need to have an extra pair of hands, essentially, we send the car over to Seacoast to have them fix it. Okay. Electric and natural gas, we use a thing called the New Jersey SEM, and the New Jersey SEM is a what they call a meeting, and it is a joint meeting of approximately 200 municipalities, and those 200 municipalities go out and bid on electric and natural gas purchases. So the thing is that I've got a slide on that, and you'll see that SEM really helps the town save some money. Animal control services, we use Monmouth County SPCA. Health department services, we use the Regional Health Commission. Senior transportation services through Monmouth County. Liability insurance, we have liability insurance with the Mid-Jersey Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. It's a cooperative of the municipalities in Monmouth County, and I think a few in Mercer and Middlesex. That's a great thing. It provides insurance coverages without the big premiums. Delinquent court fines, we have partnered with the state of New Jersey for that. And then Municipal Board of Ed Cooperative. We do shared services with our Board of Ed for facility maintenance. They'll come here and they do janitorial. We go over there, we maintain their fields and whatnot. We also provide security, which is new for us starting last year, where we have a Class 3 special who are at the various school facilities. So we work hand in hand with them. Okay, this is the slide on the SEM. Okay, so the first line there is electric, and you can see back in probably around 2010, we were kind of at our peak. We joined the SEM about that time, and our cost for electricity has gone down ever since. And the same thing for our street lighting. We have to pay for the street lights in town, and the cost for running those has decreased, and as well as the cost for natural gas. Okay, so being a member of that SEM has been quite beneficial to the town and to you guys, the taxpayers. Technology, this is my favorite. I love technology. It's the best, okay? Except when you need it. It doesn't work. Vehicle maintenance, inventory, and servicing software. We maintain our fleet with using that software. POS, which is a employee time management software, and that really helps out because it not only allows anybody to see what who's not working or who's asking for off, but it also helps me at the end of the year when I have to accrue the value of any unused time. We expanded our online registration for the certificate of occupancies, the recreational programs, and facility rental and human services programs are now all online. Online tax and sewer payment billing. You can get almost everything you want online for your tax or sewer inquiries. You can also pay by check or a credit card. You can actually print your own tax bill online, and you can, if you're a little bit behind, you can also calculate what interest you need to add to your check when you're sending it in. Now this is a service that we started last year called PayArgo, It's a bank check aggregator. And what it does is, like, when you're sitting at home and you do an online check, you type into your computer at you're using your banking software to generate these checks. Well, when we get those checks, it can take sometimes as long as 5 minutes to research what it's supposed to be for, where it goes, and to post it to the account. What this service does is it takes all of those checks that are coming in, aggregates them, provides us with $1 payment and a file that we can post to our financial software. So it's a one press of a button, all that stuff posts. It really is a great thing. It eliminates a lot of work. Okay. Online delinquent tax sale. We first did this in 2013. It is a fabulous way to do tax sale. We used to do it in the courtroom, and we'd have a group of people who want to buy liens sitting in the audience here, and then we go through each property one by one. Now when I come in on the day of the tax sale, all the tax liens have been sold. Most of them sell for premium, which is advantageous to the homeowner, because when they sell for a premium, there's no interest on the delinquent amount. So it gives the delinquent taxpayer a little breather as well. Okay, and then we replaced the HVAC controls. That helps with our energy costs as well. We did that with a grant from the state some years ago. Okay, continued investment in infrastructure. We've got some road programs that are currently underway. One of the things that we're working on is Hope Green Grove Road. That job is out for bid. That's cooperative with the DOT and Tinton Falls. So Tinton Falls and us, we're working on the project. DOT is providing the funding, and that's, like I said, going out to bid. Deal Road, this is a new project for 2019, and it'll be going from Poplar to Route 35. It's a phase one of a two-phase program. And then we've got our various roads and secondary streets that we take care of as well under our program. Then we have the new activity pool is open, and for 2019 we are slated to do improvements to the pool building itself. Should update that and give it a nice little facelift. Improvements to Joe Palea Park, Appleby Park, Colonial Terrace Golf Course, and the municipal gym are all slated in our 2019 capital plan.
I just want to say the Deal Road, it's popular to Bound.
Popular to Bound.
Yes,
okay.
which is a bigger stretch, and it gives us a better paving opportunity.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, just thought I'd clear that up.
Police Department equipment and facilities. Improvements and continued Public Works heavy equipment replacement schedule. Okay, and this is our budget in a nutshell. If you look here, we have a revenue section and an appropriations section. Here is the amount to be raised by taxation, and as you can see, for the 3 years, it is no change. Okay, and then this is the amount that we use from surplus, and then this line here is revenues other than surplus, so that'll be state aid as well as collections for delinquent taxes and so forth. And then down at the bottom you have appropriations, which are we have appropriations inside of caps. That's most of the operating budget. Then we have operations outside of caps, and they include things like the local agreements, interlocals, and our capital improvements and our debt service. Okay, here's movers and shakers. These are kind of like the big items in the budget that have changed. Now, everybody always interested in salary and wages, so I do that one first. For 2019, we're up about $151,000 from 2018, or just about 1%, which is pretty significant considering that, you know, we probably are giving raises around 2%. But we have had some attrition, and we've had bigger salaries leave and smaller salaries come in. So that's been beneficial for the town. Okay. Employee pension contributions really went up this year, almost by 12%. The state whacked us pretty good. And, you know, we have no control over it. They just, like I said, send us a bill, we get to pay for it. Okay. Debt service is up. We've got about $649, almost $650,000 increase in our debt service. But a good portion of that, about $220,000 of that number represents money because we're going to be doing a permanent financing on our, we've got about 15 million outstanding on bond anticipation notes that we're going to permanently finance in August. Now, in order for me to do that, our note typically runs year to year and it matures in January. So I had to do a refinancing in January to bring it up to August. So there's additional interest costs that we don't normally have. And I also have some money in there for principal pay downs, which were funded through a different form of revenue. So the way that the budget works is, you know, you have to have appropriations on one side, revenues on the other. So we've got a revenue that offsets most of the rest of that $650,000. Okay. Then we have purchase of vehicles down. We decided we didn't need to purchase vehicles this year, so we didn't have to appropriate money for it. Grant appropriations are down about $162,000. And that represents maybe some grants that we haven't gotten renewals for yet, or other grants that we're actually just not going to pick up this year. Okay. And then the municipal court salary and wage, they're down $44,000, and that's for a person that was budgeted, but the court decided that they didn't need that person, so we removed that from this year's budget. Tax levy cap bank. Now this is one of my favorite slides, okay? And the reason why it's one of my favorite slides is because for 2019, our level of taxation was almost $1 million below what the state said we could raise taxes for. Okay, every year we have to do this calculation, all right? And since 2011, with the inception of the 2% property tax levy cap, we have accumulated balances of $4.6 million of taxation that we did not raise. Okay, so every year we've left more taxes on the table that the state would have allowed us to have raised. We left it on there. So that $4.6 million works out to about $443 on the average home assessed for $510,000. So that's quite a significant amount of taxes that we left on the table. Budget pressures. Now this is, we're getting close, okay? So we're getting close to the end. Health and liability insurance. You know, these are big numbers in the budget. The blue represents the liability and workers' compensation insurance costs, and the red represents the health insurance costs. Now, with the things that we've done with our health insurance costs, we've actually gotten more people to look for alternative methods of insurance, whether it's, you know, they use their spouses, or maybe their spouse takes their own insurance or something on that line. And what that's caused is a slight decline in the year-to-year number for health benefits. That's a good thing. Now, down on the liability insurance, we've got a tick up for 2019, and that's because the JIF added a new service, which they're now billing us for. But overall, you know, we've managed to level out health costs, and our liability workers' comp insurance has been pretty steady. Okay. Now, this chart represents the employee share of health and dental insurance. Okay, and the blue represents dental, and the red is the employee's contribution for health insurance. And the Chapter 78 effective date is noted there as well. And the reason why I have that there is I wanted to point out the fact that the township has been requiring employees to help pay for part of their health insurance costs since 2008, well before the state decided that they were going to have the employees pony up as well. We actually are a little bit more aggressive in that because we cap insurance at a certain level, and people who want insurance above that level, they have to pay a the premium differential. Employer pension costs. This is kind of a graphical representation of what we've been subjected to with pension. This is the employer cost that the state gives us. Now you see a spot here. This is the PFRS cost at the bottom. And there's a couple of years where we don't have any columns, and that was the pension holiday that the state had given us. Okay, and the same thing with the PERS cost in purple. The first 5 years where the columns come back again, that was the 5-year phase into 100%, and now we're back at 100%. And you can see that we've had a slow increase in pension costs. Now the state gets away with not making their pension payments, but municipalities are not as fortunate. We have to make our payments, and they actuarially calculate out what we have to pay, and then they send us the bill for it. And this is employee pension cost for the PERS members, the public employees. That's the employer cost is roughly $8,700 for per employee. The police and fire are more expensive. They retire earlier and they live longer on pension, so the employer cost is roughly about $31,000 per officer. Solid waste disposal costs. You see it kind of has a little hump in it, and the hump represents when we were actually collecting trash for some of the commercial properties. We stopped doing that in 2010. Our trash collections went down. We also started our automated trash pickup and recycling commingled at that point, so we had less going to the landfill, which resulted in savings in solid waste disposals. We've had a little tick up because for 2018 and 19, because the county landfill decided after we did the budget that they were going to increase tipping fees in 2018 by $5 and this year by $3.50. So these are, relatively steep increases. But this chart here shows our solid waste disposal costs, tons. So we have 2007 to 2018. We were collecting or dumping about 12,000 tons of solid waste a year. We're down to about 7,800 tons of solid waste. We recycle about 3,300 or 3,400 tons of material. It gives us a diversion rate of around 30%. So 30% that could have been going into a landfill is now being recycled. And that's a good thing because, right now we're paying $85 a ton to throw this stuff away. Recycling market hasn't been so great, so we're not getting any real money for our recyclables, but it's better than having to pay $85 to throw it into a landfill. Now this is a graph, and this is probably the last time I'll do this one here, but I like this one so much. We did a projection on what the cost savings would be by going to automated trash pickup from what used to be, you know, we'd have a couple guys on a truck and they dumped the stuff in the back. So every year, the projected savings we pretty much beat. For 2019, we had projected that we'd save about $452,000. We're actually saving $637,000, and that's using basically 10 guys to pick up all the trash and all the recycling in town. Back when we started this program, we had 22 people in our sanitation department picking up trash. Now, nobody was laid off, nobody was fired. We reduced the staff strictly through attrition, so we're down to the 10 now. But it's pretty amazing that we have saved that kind of money on just by making that switch to automated trash pickup.
This will be like,
Halftime.
this is it. We love it.
Revenues. Yeah, that's what I'm all about too. Is I want that money, man. I want the money because I got to fund this budget with the money, and I'm always in search of a couple bucks. You know, I have deep cushions upstairs in the offices so that after people leave, I check the cushions for money. Okay. So now this is the state making it rain for us. Okay. Now you can see there that, oh gosh, back in 2007, we were like almost $4 million in state aid. That was $4 million bucks. That was great, you know? And then they just like chopped it down to where we're getting about 2.5 million today. And they haven't increased that number since 2010. So, you know, you think, okay, well, it's flat. Well, it's not really flat because every year our budget goes up a little bit more. State aid doesn't. So we're having to pull that money from the taxpayers, you know, or from other revenue sources. So, and that state aid becomes a dwindling portion of our overall revenue budget. Now, this is interest income. Now, up until about the last year or two, interest income was like pretty desolate. At one time, we were bringing in $1.2 million on our invested balances. As late as 2016, that number was $73,000. And to give you perspective, anytime our balances of cash run generally between about $24 and $30 million, and $75,000 or $73,000 is not that much to get on that. Okay. And this is uniform construction code fees. Now, those are usually pretty steady, but the last couple of years we had some projects going on in town. We've got the Nobility Crest project, we've got the Toll Brothers project, and we've seen a corresponding increase in those fees. Now, for 2019, we're budgeting about $550,000, and we've really kind of collected all of the fees that we're going to get from those projects. So I believe that it'll taper down for this year. Interest income. Now you can see that you know, back in the early 2000s we were making big money. And then we've cut it down, but now we're back up to about $400,000, which is a good thing. I used to have this slide used to crash. The plane would crash at the bottom, but this time now it's now making it over. Okay. And this is a slide that represents kind of the state aid versus surplus. And surplus is kind of what we use when everything is said and done to try and fund the budget and not impact the taxpayer. You know, every year we generate surplus from budget operations. We don't spend all the money that we get, or we get more revenues than we anticipated. That goes into surplus, and then we use it in the future years to help support the budget. But you can see that that surplus number, it used to be state aid was higher than surplus used to fund the budget. Now that's reversed, which just shows you the effect of the no change in state aid over time. Debt service costs. Basically, you'll see that you know, we've had a pretty steady debt service. I mean, it's increased a little bit over time, and it's big this year because we're doing a big principal payoff, as well as we had to anticipate additional interest for our to make our bond refunding work. But overall, I mean, we went from about 2.6 million to about 3.8 over the span of about 11 years. So that's not too terrible. And then this is the representation of taxes that the town that we collect from the town, and what makes up your tax dollars. So we have the county as about 14% of the money that you pay in taxes. Then we have municipal taxes, which is about 21%. And then you have the school, which is about 65%. Okay? And a lot of people don't realize that we collect money for all of the agencies. Okay? So we collect the money for the county, we collect for school, we collect for the fire districts, and we collect for ourselves. So even though the governing body does an excellent job and has kept our tax rate stable and the amount that we have to raise for taxation stable, they have no control over the county or the school or the fire districts. And so when you have a situation like where Lock Arbor pulls away from the school board, and the school board has to then, you know, fund that piece through the taxpayers, you get hit with that, even though the town doesn't raise taxes at all. You know, so that these other agencies have an influence on your on the amount that you pay as well. But the municipal portion, which is what we control, we keep it stable. We keep it pretty stable. Okay. And now's the end. Okay.
And now,
Right, Sinatra.
the end is near, and so I face the final curse.
There we go.
Wow. Good job, Steve. Thank you.
Steve.
Give it up for Steve. Money man.
Nice job.
He drives a, what kind of car do you drive, Steve?
2008 Honda Element.
How many miles you have on it?
290,000.
You can get more out of that. That's our money man.
Get a new car, please.
Anybody
About you.
at this time, anybody have any questions as to the budget? Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Anything at all on the
I
budget?
just want to say something before we take a question, Steve, and it's very important. It is great that you are able to prepare a budget along with our input every year and do the fabulous job that you do. I have to say this because my term of office is going to end soon, and I won't have another budget presentation by you for me to view. But I want to also say it's really important that you have a sense of humor. Most accountants that I've met in my lifetime had no sense of humor at all. So it's really great, and I thank you for a great job.
Right, ditto. Good job, Steve. We got to let you out of the office more often, though. I can see that. So again, somebody, anything, come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Of course.
Scott Sharp from Wanamassa. I guess I was looking at your full bore budget, the more detailed version, and on sheet 11, there's in the revenue section, you have anticipated, which is your budget of 2019 and 2018, and you highlighted those are the same dollars. And you said realized in cash in 2018, which was, well, at the bottom line, total revenue realized in cash, 40 million versus your 36 million in 2018. What's there's an extra $4 million sitting there, and the extra realized cash in 2018. What does that represent, and where did it come from?
That represents the reserve for uncollected taxes. The things that we have.
Steve, does your mic work?
Oh, the
Because
mic.
we're taped.
No, just use that mic.
That represents reserve for uncollected taxes. Now, what we have every year is we have to pay the school board, we have to pay the fire districts, we have to pay the county 100% of their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't collect 100%. Our collection rate is around 98%. Okay? And most years it runs between 98 to 99%. I think since I've been here, it's only hit 99 once. So the thing is that we have to put in a reserve for those uncollected taxes. Now, our budget is very conservative in nature. It is designed to regenerate surplus because we use about 6.7 million of it every year. So we estimate a little on the conservative side for that reserve. So instead of 98%, maybe we're at 96% for the reserve. Now, anything that we collect over that 96% is going to go into the surplus, and that's why you see that extra revenue there.
Okay, so does this get spent during the year?
No.
Is your budget really 36, or is it really 40 for last year?
It's 36. That's the number on the budget. We have to have a
where did the
balanced
40?
budget.
It says cash realized in 2018 of 40 million. I'm not an accountant, so where did that 40 million go to?
Now,
Surplus?
the 40 million goes to surplus, yes. And
Not
any
40,
revenue-
the balance. The
The
balance.
difference.
The difference
four.
between those
Right.
$4
And the-
million that went into surplus.
And then that's you, Scott, to balance the budget.
Yeah.
So he used almost 7 million of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you looked at the whole slide, Scott,
Mm-hmm.
he would anticipate maybe, like you said, construction fees. Last year we brought in 700. This year's just going to be caution. Say we're only going to anticipate 500. If we get 600, great. That extra 100 goes into surplus. If we get 400, comes out of our pocket.
Right.
So he wants to underestimate, and that's pretty much how you rebuild the surplus, by being conservative.
So 10% or so is what you anticipate
Well,
that goes into surplus
no.
on 36 million.
No, it's a calculation, which is you take the taxes that you're going to have to raise, which is the school, the county,
Right.
the municipal, as well as the fire districts, and then you apply a percentage to it. Now, I think it's about 96%. Okay, so that gives you a number for your reserve for uncollected taxes, and if you look on the appropriations side, you'll see that number. Okay. It's about $4 million and change.
All right.
Okay, then when we do the collecting, we collect money. Now that $4 million that you're looking at isn't just the taxes, that's also extra revenues, because we, like the mayor said, we'll budget $550,000 for the UCC fees. Maybe we'll get $650 or $750. Last year we got $900, almost $1 million. That's an unusual year. But that $400,000 difference between what we anticipated and what we actually received, that money goes right to surplus and then is used in the following year to support the next year's budget. Okay, so the money isn't like excess, it just goes into surplus so that we can then anticipate it to support the following year's budget.
So in your monthly reporting of your budget for 2019, the actuals that are going month to month, then do you monitor how much you're taking out of surplus? Because you allocated a certain amount that you're going to take from surplus this year.
Mm-hmm. Now that gets all in one shot. That is taken in one shot.
Oh, you take it all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then where is the incentive for saving? Because
Well, I'm not understanding your question. We use surplus to help
fund the budget.
Fund the
That
budget.
way,
So this
the
year-
surplus is used to
Rebuild.
stabilize the tax rate.
So I think Steve showed a slide we missed though. Last year's budget overall was 36.3. This year our budget was up $1 million, although we still had a steady tax levy because he used surplus to make up that $1 million difference. So there was $1 million right there.
I'd just like to make sure that we're budgeting accurately and not depending on surplus to take care of any of the unanticipated things. That's
No. See, the thing is, the spending is quite specific.
because if you take
in
it
the state.
all out of at the beginning and not on a as needed basis, then that surplus is taken right on day one.
No, see, the way the state budget works is that 36 million, we have a balanced budget, so we can only spend what's in the budget, 36 million, that's it. We can't spend more than that. And in order
Well, I'd
to
like to
spend,
see us spend less than that.
well,
We
I
did.
think
We spent
spent
$1 million
pretty
less this year.
Yes. But the thing is,
All right.
is that we have to live within those appropriations. Okay, so whatever we get in revenue, it doesn't matter. What matters is what we spend.
Right. Okay. I'll leave it go for now. So, but I do believe that the taking all of the surplus for this year on day one is it sort of seems like a disincentive for the different departments to save money. You take it, you allocate the 12 months divided out on the surplus that you allocate for your budget, and you take it as you need it rather than all of it on day one.
It's really just a journal entry in the books. There's no real money that flows around. Okay, so the thing is that we use that surplus. We reduce surplus by $6.7 million, and we increase anticipated revenues by the same number.
Okay.
It's just a journal entry. It has nothing to do with operations or people saving money or not saving money. As a matter of fact, I think if you go look at the state document, which you said you did, you look at the other expenses that the departments are using, and I think you'll find that they're very consistent year to year. The department heads in this town do a fabulous job in managing their costs. I mean, a fabulous job. They're not incentivized to spend every dime like some agencies in the federal government are. We are very, we do a very conservative budget. The department heads are very good at making that money last. Okay, I can't say enough about our department heads. They are very professional in what they do. They've been very helpful. When I construct this budget, they're all in charge of it. They all know what the marching orders are. I give them a budget meeting in late September where I lay down what we're looking to do for the following year's budget. We have budget meetings with the township manager, as well as a public hearing for anybody in the public who wants to come and actually see what the numbers are prior to them being issued. We meet with the governing body in January to lay out the budget. At that time, it becomes theirs. They give us the marching orders on where to cut, and we make it happen, and they make it happen. You've got a very professional staff here on board.
I didn't imply that they weren't.
Oh no, I'm
just
letting you know that
And
they are very instrumental in keeping the spending down here. And as you can see from our presentation, that we do a good job in trying to maintain the quality of services here without going overboard on the appropriations.
Okay, and one last question, and I can come to ask you separately, is you had a cost per employee, I guess, there. And I know it's difficult to do an apples to apples. How does that compare with other similar size towns?
Well, the comparison that I did,
the norm with others.
well, what I did was it was a cost per employee for the pension, which is relatively easy to do. But my number is pretty close to what the state uses on their website. If you go to the Division of Pensions and you look under the employee or the employer costs, they have percentages for every year. Now, I don't use the state's percentage because they're 2 years behind. All right. Now, I got a bill, and I take that bill and I divide it by the number of active pension members to come up with the actual costs. and my numbers are pretty close to theirs. So.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
You're welcome. And anytime you want to see me and talk about it, by all means, be my guest.
It's that dark hole in the top of the stairs to the right.
Coming in a
There's
little
no
bit.
sunlight. Anybody else? Yes, Jim?
Jim Bay, David Street. Vinny, I'd asked about the annual debt statement and the annual statement. Do you know when that would be available to be put online? Just a routine, totally routine.
That statement,
I think we did that already, didn't we?
is it online?
So if you could just put a post-it note to put that online.
I know the
We just put up the budget introduction and user-friendly budget.
yeah.
So I'll double check
Well,
to
that
see
was
if,
several weeks ago. If you could just make a note. To put
yeah,
it online on a routine
I'll double
basis.
check it.
The annual financial statement. I know the state has been moving to this system they call the FAST system, and we've had some issues with the FAST system in providing us with the documents. That's holding up the annual financial statement.
The February 9th one, does that exist or is that being held up?
February
The
9th.
routine one.
The annual debt statement?
Well, in addition to that, the annual statement.
The annual financial statement is being held up, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, they've been having some issues in trying to get the system working right. There's been some bugs. I was notified by the auditor that they seem to have fixed the problems that they had with theirs, so now I have to finish reviewing it and post it. So it should be up in a couple of days.
Appreciate it. And Mike, thank you for sending me the Wikipeco numbers on the structural analysis. And in addition, the envelope costs would be in addition to the structural analysis on Wikipeco. And I appreciate your help on that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else on the budget? You stretching your legs or you getting up, Jack? He's getting up.
He's
I
getting
wasn't
ready.
sure.
Jack Kurz, resident Beecroft Place. I want to take this opportunity to thank Steve in front of all of you, because I tell you, when I go ask him a question, he gives me the answer that even I understand, and that's doing something. So, Steve, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
He does a great
Yeah,
job.
he loves company. Rick gets at you.
You could tell from the presentation.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
And then we'll
Steve.
have our budget adoption will be on
April 25th.
April 25th. And it's available online now?
Introduced budgets online, yeah.
It's online now.
It
Okay.
is online.
Okay.
And the budget presentation will be online as well. All I got to do is put the slides out for Vinny to put up there, and for the website, and for Channel 77.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. This time, the purpose of the public portion of this solely ask questions, understand resolutions and vouchers that appear on an agenda, not an occasion for a public hearing on an ordinance. All questions not related to an item on this agenda should be asked during the public comments portion at the conclusion of the meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the consent agenda and or vouchers? Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, would someone please offer the... Yeah. You have a question for Steve, Jim? You need to come up though, Jim. Okay. That's
You gotta come to the microphone.
come up to the mic. I'll explain it. All right. So if you're not going to come, I'll explain it from there. The gentleman asked about the collection system that was on our agenda and workshop. It's something we recognize we have to do going forward. Each year, we're going to invest some money putting the collection systems between curb and sidewalk, things like that. So to cut down. This year we had a lot of rain, and it's been noticed in the areas that really get affected. So we're going to start putting those in prior to road paving, so we don't have to go back and open a road to take care of that. So we're going to start doing it. Yes, it's the better stormwater management. David Street was on there. Somebody mentioned that. You're a David Street fella? Kenneth? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That area was really one of the ones, the catalyst for this. So we're doing it.
It was discussed tonight in the work session. Kenneth Drive was discussed by the manager and members of the council and mayor.
Okay. All right. So anybody, please offer the consent agenda and resolution.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Also, we have vouchers in the amount of $1,227,905.58. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And tonight we have resolutions 19037. Authorize the resale of property known as Block 22, Lot 2701 and 27.02, located on Roosevelt Avenue. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
No.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Now this was a one single family lot that's on Roosevelt. Just for the record, anybody wants to know about it. The old McLaughlin estate came down probably in the late 60s or 70s. There was always a single family house there. We acquired the property some years later. We're subdividing it. We're going to give the back half to Popular Village or work with them so they can accommodate their clubhouse and things like that. And the front two lots, we figured we would sell those, generate some revenue. Vacant land, there's no trees on it. It's always been a residential area. That's what that's for. We did have a bid, they withdrew it, so now we're going to have it rebid. That's what that property is. 19074. Authorize a contract with Brothers Tow in Long Branch, New Jersey for towing services for a 2-year period, April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2021, at a cost not to exceed $91,850. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Tonight for adoption, we have two ordinances. One we're holding 2320.
Need a motion?
Oh, motion for.
You're gonna make a motion to
Yeah.
pull.
Okay, so
Before I move to remove ordinance 2320 from the agenda for this evening.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
yes, so no further explanation. That was it. So adoption tonight for ordinance 2319. Vin, would you read the title?
An ordinance establishing a cap bank for the year 2019 in accordance with NJSA 48:4-45.14.
Okay. Someone please open a public hearing on ordinance 2319.
I move to open public discussion on ordinance 2319.
Second.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on ordinance 2319, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, someone please close the public hearing on ordinance 2319.
I move to close discussion on ordinance 2319.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, action please on ordinance number 2319.
I move to pass ordinance 2319
We'll publish according to law.
and publish according to law.
Excellent.
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, ordinance 2319 has been moved. For introduction tonight, we have ordinance number 2321. Vin, would you read the title?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 12 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Ocean entitled Traffic.
Okay.
I move to introduce ordinance 2321.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
And I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Long,
Yes.
Council members Achara,
Yes.
Napolitani,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
and Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, and that'll have its introduction. I'm sorry, it's
Public hearing.
public hearing on what date?
April 25th.
I'm sorry, I don't know what date's going on. At this time, if anybody has anything germane to Ocean Township or germane to our business and wish to discuss with us, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Okay, I see people coming up. Sir? First come, first serve. He's getting there. Oh!
You want to go first?
You might want to go first. You might want to watch a baseball game.
So it's Michael Kaplan, Kenneth Drive. I just wanted to get any more information. Kaplan, Kenneth Drive. Just a little bit more information on that collector system. Any ideas on timing on when that might be corrected? Or
Mike, we just discussed it tonight. So
basically, there's many parts of town, as you know. I live on Kenneth also, where some pumps are putting a lot of water into the street and causing issues. So what we're going to try and do going forward is put a collector system where possible in between the curb and the sidewalk, so that some pumps will drain into that and it'll be taken into a storm drain to prevent this, basically like the flooding that occurs in the streets.
Yeah, it's more than the flooding too. I mean, if you've seen Kenneth Drive, it turns into
rust.
there's iron and
I saw
water
it.
turns into
Pretty
rust. It's terrible.
Yep. So we're acting on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. Anybody else?
Jackie Wenzel, 610 Dale Road. Yeah, I just wanted to ask some details. I understand from the budget meeting that we're going to be expanding the parking lots and the trails throughout Joe Play Park. So are they going to be pervious ground cover?
So this parking lot was already bid out in 2017 prior to us getting a chance to put any of that in there. So going forward, we're going to discuss, of course, doing a pervious, a percentage of it for everybody, for commercial and also for the township as well. So this was already bid out. That one, unfortunately, won't be, but it was approved by Green Acres. We did submit a plan to them so they can kind of calculate any extra runoff and what to do about that.
But if it hasn't been done yet, why can't the contractor just switch the materials that they use?
You have to rebid it, and then another contractor can say, well, I have pervious materials that it's a lot less. I want you a chance to rebid this. And then it would hold the project up and get pushed into the next year. And there's a growing need for that's been used a lot, and we just overflow when we have events. So
it's just that the park continually fills with more water now, and we've just heard, of course, upstairs as well, everybody's complaining about the increased water. So whatever contract you have with this current person, there's no access for them to have impervious materials to work with?
No, I didn't say that. I'd say they would have to rebid the entire project. If we ask them to take out the impervious materials that they're using and go with the pervious, and contractor B says, wait a minute, I could have bid that a lot less. I want to bid it. And then contractor C says, I didn't know that. You're doing that. We have that material for less than the it would hold up the project. We'd have to rebid it.
How long would it hold it up?
Oh, Mike, you want to answer this one?
Probably at least 6 months.
It would probably go on next year's cycle.
Yeah, probably.
Realistically, it would be next year that they would.
And we can't hold off to do that because of all the flood. I mean, it's just everywhere I go, and especially now because I've been meeting more with the public, water is all people speak about.
No, absolutely.
I mean, I know I've spoken a lot about the trees, but people are speaking about is water. So I just, I would like to ask if it's possible that you consider maybe asking him. I mean, maybe if there are other areas that can't be impervious, maybe you could use some of that bidding money on, I don't know, if he doesn't have impervious, maybe to do road work. You could just switch what he's doing. It's just to have it in the park seems wrong.
No, I understand. I think in this case, since it's already been out, we can maybe add to what we can do to collect or stop. Maybe there's other plantings or something we can do in that area would help absorb before it even gets to the stream.
Because by the parking lot, there's a lot of, the last time when I was taking photographs of the water in town, by the parking lot, there were ponds, like where the soccer field is. There were just big, giant puddles.
I think I mentioned we have a robust shade tree fund. I think we should just start tapping into it to come up with plantings anytime that we put in a impervious coverage to help absorb. They drink up a lot of water, and that would probably help as well. So I think we'll look into doing that.
Would you, I guess I would just like to ask you the question, would you reconsider it and at least have the conversation, even if it takes 6 months? I don't know why it would take 6 months if you just
Mike will reach out to him
have
tomorrow,
say we'd like to switch the material used. And then if you have to rebid, I don't understand why you have to rebid it with someone else.
Because it's Green Acres, we would have to get approval from them again. They approved one plan. So if we had to redo everything.
So Green Acres approved a pervious ground cover?
Yes.
Yeah.
And which Green Acres? Like who?
State of New Jersey.
New Jersey. I don't know the exact person off the top of my head, but I can get it. I can get it for you.
How long ago? I mean, they may have done it a couple of years ago, and right now, I wonder if they saw the conditions right now, would they still make that same decision? We really need help.
We are. I think, like I mentioned to you last week, going forward, plan on discussing revising our ordinances so all commercial and us as well, township going forward, any projects, we would make sure we have a percentage of pervious surfaces put in anytime there's a project going on. So
yeah, I just think now is the time. We did it here in this
parking lot, actually.
Yeah,
I mean 25% over here.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I assumed you were doing the same, because that would probably be someone that you're working with.
But we'll look, like I said, we'll look into what we can do to offset any extra runoff if they think there is any, as far as supplanting any materials there that we can get to. And I think that
So
should
is
help.
the answer no? You're not going to
Well,
use
Mike's going to
impervious?
talk to them and see if he can't get around
Okay.
it. Then we'll go
Okay.
the other.
All
Plan
right.
B would be to plant something there, something nice, decorative, and drinks a lot of
Yeah,
water.
just to cover the soil again is just where the problem is
I
right now.
gotcha.
There's too much soil, and even, I mean, are there? One more question, and then I'll sit down. Are there? What are we doing now, since we know there is so much extra water, and people keep saying last year was the wettest year, and now this is topping last year. So there's no real indication, especially what we hear on the news every day about global warming, that is going to change. It's probably going to continue to get worse. So, within the budget, and there were many things that he went over this evening. I may have missed it, but is there anything in our plans going forward to address better circumstances than what's happening, say, in these housing communities that are flooding and having water problems now? Like maybe this basin system isn't working so well with the new conditions.
Yes.
Are we investigating other options?
Since we had the wettest year ever on record, we had 80 inches in a short period of time. So our engineers are very mindful of that, and the basins now that they're designing, they're designing in mind that we can try to offset that or anticipate that. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think you're ever going to out-engineer Mother Nature.
No.
We can try, but as you said, and Rich even mentioned, global warming is probably a real thing, and these climate does change, and every time you think you came up with a defense, they throw something else at you. So, but yes, they're mindful of it, and they are working on over-calculating, anticipating heavier conditions. So.
We just happen to be such a wet community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're so.
exactly.
I mean, if you take an aerial view, we're obviously
100%.
we're off the ocean. Is there, sometimes I bring up things with you and you say we can't tell people what to do on their property. And what I'd like to just ask.
We can ask them nicely.
No, because there are certain communities that have like if people come to buy a home in a certain community, they might say, oh, I don't want to buy in Ocean Grove because it's a blue town. Or
It's a 99-year land lease.
Yeah, you can't do anything, and so they go and they buy somewhere else.
Right.
Couldn't we, especially because of the water conditions and because of all of the development that's happened recently, perhaps to say that we're a green township, and if you have a home and it has X amount of trees, unless the tree is dying and it's assessed, we really don't allow you to take anything down, unless if you're going to do a pool, a certain amount, but where we would be known to be a green community.
Absolutely, we can always amend our tree ordinance, and I think that's something else on our agenda.
Okay.
I don't think anybody up here doesn't agree with revisiting that, within reason, of course, but like you said, I think that's reasonable to ask. And part of that ERI I mentioned, were you here when I mentioned Mike Davenport's ERI?
I know, I'm aware of it because
and that's
it's
to
been
really
on the table.
help amend our master plan to consider all of that. Consider changing your tree ordinances and your pervious cover and things like that, just to do what we can to protect what's left.
And when will we start adopting some of his ideas?
Shortly. I mean, it's on there, it gets reviewed, it's open for comments from the public. That's the point of it all. And then once it gets approved by Sustainable Jersey, then we can start implementing some of these ideas into the master plan.
Okay.
So we're going in the right direction. It's tedious, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I also picked up some things on composting from our last informal meeting at the Cook. So I'll leave them in your office one day because I was at an event. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Sir in the back, come on up.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Great.
My name is Anthony DeSantis. I live actually in Tinton Falls. I'm actually I was a resident of Ocean Township, a graduate of Ocean Township High School. My family still lives there, Franklin Avenue, right by Logan, off Logan Road. And so I have a lot of deep ties to this town. I coached there for a long time at the high school, soccer. So, I still have a lot of friends and family members in the town. The reason why I'm here tonight is to kind of introduce myself. I am a citizen of Tinton Falls, but I'm also part of a committee, Monmouth County Citizens for the Environmental Health and Safety. We are a newly formed volunteer citizen group stemming from the issues at the Monmouth County Reclamation Center in reference to those issues that have been going on there for the past several months to a year. We are a volunteer organization that was brought together by concerned citizens that have basically come together to kind of, move forward with dealing with the issues that have been occurring at the Monmouth County Reclamation Center. With that said, I just have a couple questions. Are you guys informed and do you stay abreast of all the issues that are going on at the Monmouth County Reclamation Center?
Did you come in later, or did you come at the very beginning?
I wasn't here at the beginning.
So
I'm sorry.
I read in an email I got from the Freehold Director Unknown with an updated status of what's going on, and he keeps us posted. He talks to Rob, Rich, myself, John. I think constantly he's aware that Ocean Township was affected by this.
Sure.
And, he's very mindful of. Good communicator. He lets us all know what's going on. So,
all right.
Yes, I have an update I can share with you at the end.
Oh, sure. You can share that with me. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, my question was, obviously that's you just answered that question for myself, which I would assume is a good thing,
Yes.
because I do think that, this isn't just affecting my community of Tinton Falls, but my former community of Ocean Township too.
That whole corridor right there.
Yeah, I know Asbury Avenue residents are probably closer or just as close to.
They live there.
That's my part of town too. So, there's a reason why we're all getting involved in this to try to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. And I'm basically here to, get the council stance on moving forward in a direction and what their stance is on the Monmouth County Reclamation Center as it sits right now, with the SEEPs at Phase 3, the pending approval of Phase 4, the continuation of it till 2040. Where do you stand in reference to basically everything that's been going on over there?
Okay, so I mean, you want individual or as a whole? I think we're all very concerned about the impact it'll have on our community and any community on the environment. Period. I think I can speak for everyone that we're all very concerned and we want to see improvements. And not only do we want to see, we've been demanding improvements, and I think they've been hearing it loud and clear. The county and the engineers. I'm not going to point fingers. I don't know who dropped the ball. That's not relevant at this point. But going forward, making the fixes. That's what our concern is.
That's great to hear. Have you been in contact with the Tinton Falls Borough Council to talk with them about the host agreement or anything that is going on within my town and the borough in dealing with the issues that are going on there? Something that you're coordinating together or anything like that to stress your concerns with them as well, to kind of push things along in a direction, whatever direction that may be.
Mr. Masillo, who has pretty good ties to Tinton Falls. We stole him from there, but so he's in contact because we're doing some shared projects there now.
Sure, and I saw you're doing some shared
and the
projects.
Topic comes up, and that topic they've been talking about it a lot lately. So yes, they've been doing that. I had asked the county, listen, we want a little reparation of that host agreement. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but not to take any from Tinton Falls, but Ocean could use a little too.
Yeah, I'm also coming from a place where I've been to freeholder meetings, I've been to SWAC meetings, I've been to our council meetings, and I'm actually just trying to make my presence and our presence known to the magnitude of what's going on over there, because this is a pretty big issue.
Yeah,
and it's something that we're trying to tackle head on to just improve the quality of life for the people, not just of our town, but the people around us, including Ocean Township, including other communities.
Sure.
So with that said, have you seen an uptick in any odor complaints from people that are along the corridor that we've referenced, or in other places around the community of Ocean Township, in reference to the smells coming from the landfill?
Oh yeah, every time there's a smell, I make sure I text the freeholder director directly, along with the county clerk, who also lives out in Wayside.
Okay.
So whenever because I'm out late, and when I come in, that's usually when it's more prevalent.
Sure.
And I'll let them know. And
I
Don
do
is
it in
out
the
there as
morning,
well.
And I do it at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning when I smell it.
Okay, and I'm glad you smell it, because it is out there. These things are real. I've been getting a lot of runaround and trying to get a grasp of how we can to get pointed, like I said, in the right direction in trying to fix these things. Do you know of the hotline to call? And does your community and the people in this community know of the proper hotline to call at this point in dealing with an odor complaint, so that we can channel it the proper way?
We'll post something. I have here, the county website, of course, will direct you, but I'll post that.
Could you do that for me?
Personally, Mr. Masillo, any one of the council members, we're fortunate enough to have the directors and other freeholders' phone numbers. on behalf of our citizens. We advocate for you that way. But for you folks, yes, we'll post that so you have it.
I would appreciate that, and
That's a good idea.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Here's just from 425 today. I'll just give you a couple updates,
Absolutely.
if you don't mind.
Yes.
So they anticipate the installation of pumps at the Lecate site. The equipment will extract probably 35 to 40 gallons of liquid per day. Okay, and that'll be stored in new storage tanks placed on site during this project to kind of, and then they'll haul it off later. And also they've ordered additional 3 misting stations to assist with the pungent odor that's coming out of there. So that's just some of the highlights. 17 new wells are now tied into an existing vacuum system within the next 3 weeks. The construction of the landfill gas collection system, as stated, and the wells are all tied into a collection system. They'll be tied into a vacuum system on a continuous basis.
And you said I could see a copy of that. Would you mind
We'll
before
take
I
a
leave?
picture
Yeah, picture of it.
Yeah,
That'd be okay. Yeah,
it's up there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I'm not going to take too much of your time. I just basically want to introduce myself and again tell you that we are the MCC. EHS is something that was just put together. We are meeting and we are trying to move forward with what's going on over there and to better the quality of life of the people of not just my community but the community of Ocean Township and Neptune and everywhere else around us. So the hotline, if that would be great to just post on your website to get people in the right direction with odor complaints, because we are trying to be diligent and map them properly so that we can come up with some sort of game plan as we move forward. But I appreciate your time.
All right, Anthony. Thank you. Thank you. You can take a picture, Jack. Sure, Anthony. You can put it on the table. You can put it over there, Anthony, if you like, and then folks can share it. Olga?
Olga Hanout, 26 Meadows Lane. I have a quick question now that we're talking about the budget, or you were discussing the budget. There is, regarding the Dilt site cleanup, they said that there is, I read an article that there is expected an additional cost of 1.34 million and the completion date is 2021.
So, Mike, this is an old article from 1992 about the arsenic levels found over there in that certain area, and we've contacted them, had our engineers contact to see what this is all about, because since that time, soccer fields were built, bench hill was built,
so
nobody had a problem with anything. Pardon?
Is no cleanup needed at all? It had been completed.
They didn't really give us any indication, so we asked for another report just to get an update, and also to our legislators' offices. They're looking into it too to find out what it is, but
yeah, I wrote to the Senator Bingopal to get some information, and he sent an email to a couple of people that I get are the.
We sent them what we had.
Mm-hmm. But is the Department of Defense who you are
Department
expecting?
of Defense is the one who came up with the report because it was one of their decommissioned bases.
Correct.
So every one that they had, I guess they had a study done at one point to see what levels of any, if any, contamination. They came up with very minor levels of arsenic or something in a certain area. They didn't give us any further instruction as a municipality going forward or to the state as to what to do. And frankly, like I said, a lot of construction projects or improvements to the park, I should say, have taken place since that time without DEP even mention it, or Green Acres or anybody. So.
Yeah, but in the town, do we have a specific person that is assigned?
Our engineer would get all that correspondence, and our town manager would be alerted to anything like that.
But we are not being proactive in asking, or we're
Sure,
just waiting for them to give us the information? Or
he's been corresponding since this came up over a year ago, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, here's with Senator Gopal's office. This is a recent one from February. I'm asking her for anything that she can get from the DEP, and her response to me on this one was...
Who you speak again about? Who is she?
Dice Davis from Senator Gopal's office.
Okay.
Her response to me was they gave me an update. They're still trying to locate information. She'll keep me informed as they receive anything. The last thing I got, I think I got it this morning actually, it was that report that you're referring to from like the early 1990s. And that was it. We're still trying.
Yeah, because they said that the completion date, the expected completion date was 2021. So who is following up? How far along are they into the process?
I honestly, I don't think anything has happened with it. At least not since I've been here in the last few years.
Okay. Is there any concern about all the
There
hazards?
is, and actually, John Napolitani can tell you, we asked our engineer to look into it because the fund that we promote, the Mylan Terry Foundation,
Correct.
it's the charity that we support for the Mayor's Ball. She lives over in that area and questioned, is there something to this report? Because a lot of people have heard of it. This is going back a year and a half ago. So we looked into it, and our engineer is waiting to see what they have tested for before he will order some other tests, but he wants to see what they have already tested for before we order tests. So
there's about 10,000 different tests they could do in that right over there.
Mm-hmm.
However, he doesn't want to do any tests yet, and Kelly from the Mylan Terry Foundation also agreed that we need to have that test first because there's a lot of tests that can be eliminated before we go and test that soil to see exactly what's there and if there is anything that could affect kids, adults, whatever it is. So once we receive that, and Mike has been on top of it with Senator Vin Gopal's office, and even the senator's office is having a hard time getting the information. So once they get the information, then we can direct our engineer to do whatever tests we think may be needed. But there may be a series of tests over a few years that we may have to do in that area.
Is that foundation that you mentioned is linked to this particular project because of the several cases that they are known here in Ocros, in the Ocros area for the children's, I believe it's 12 or 18 cases of the
foundation is basically for pediatric cancer, but
Correct.
Kelly herself has actually plotted where the different cancer cases have been taking place throughout the entire area. She doesn't just focus in on Oakhurst. I mean, she focuses in on the entire area, and then there's sections in Wall all over the place. So she tries to plot and see, where the majority of these cases are, and then from that point, she actually did come to the council. She actually met with our engineer and myself, and once we get that report that Mike has been chasing Vin's office for, and Vin has been obviously chasing the state, for some reason nobody seems to have
I think it's a federal issue because it's really not even in the state. I think it's Congress would have to step in here at this point and order the Department of Defense to give us the study, what's been done, what tests have been done, and what are you talking about, because you're scaring people, and let us know if there's anything to it so we can address it. So that's the next step.
But it's not like they had to just scare people. There is a fact that there are well-known documented cases of pediatric cancer in the area.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not just a myth, or there are facts.
There's an issue out there. I don't know that it's emanating from there.
No, yeah.
But I didn't mean to say scaring us in that regard. I think if there was more to it from the Department of Defense, that they at this time or at some time would have reached out, hey, Ocean Township, just so you know, there's an ongoing testing or test wells or study or something. We've heard nothing. So I thought that's kind of odd. If they're decommissioning a base, you think they would be able to follow up on that and really give each municipality who had the base there, Fort Monmouth, Ocean Township, for the deal test site, etc. So,
but in our town, we have that, and it's next to the park, is next to the 32 acres that is going to be developed, so it's of importance right now.
It's actually the furthest point away from the 32 acres.
Correct.
It's closer to
But
Road.
with the water situation and everything that is going to be disturbed is going to be a concern. If in fact there are some hazardous materials that they need to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Dennis Howlett from 1638 Holbrook Street. I just have two quick things. Is this on right?
Yeah.
I know you've been really instrumental on working for bike lanes and things in town, and appreciate it. I've always been surprised at the number of people from my area, in particular, the kids who ride their bikes with their surfboards all the way down to the beach to surf, which which is kind of amazing to me. But the more access we get to the beach, the better. And I'm very happy to say that the civil engineer for the Paramount project, once he was questioned about a number of things, has made some effort to make accommodations in the paths and the trails that they're going to be putting in so that bikes can ride alongside the walkways. I don't know how far that's gotten, but at least they made note of that. The one thing that surprised me is the traffic engineer for Paramount, when he made his presentation at the last meeting, he was actually finished with his planned presentation, and there had been no mention whatsoever about the intersection of Route 35 and Deal Road. No mention at all about pedestrians or bikes. And the reason I'm bringing it up here instead of out there is because technically I don't think we're allowed to talk to anybody on the board about any of the issues that are open. And the time frame for the public to question the traffic engineer hasn't come up yet. I just hope that if I get hit by a meteorite or something happens.
Somebody remembers to bring that up.
Yeah, somebody brings that up, because I know you were really good at, and interested in that sort of
So I'll
stuff.
fill you in. We did have a meeting, not myself, the traffic engineer, our engineers, post that last meeting, after that last meeting here, because I thought someone from the planning board did bring up how you're going to handle the people walking to the bus stops and things. But at
That
any
had been
rate,
brought up at earlier meetings.
maybe,
Actually,
but
the
they had to
civil
go
engineer.
to DOT last Tuesday. They had a meeting with DOT to revise their plan.
Right.
So they're going to show a new plan how to address those circles and things like that. I think they're doing what they call an urban circle. And an urban circle brings you through the shopping center instead of a jug handle.
Well, I know the plans are at Mr. Kirk's office now.
Yeah, or they maybe the revised plans are probably there.
It was a concept plan. In
Yeah.
fact, they were going to do away with the jug handle that they were going to put in.
Correct.
Instead of that jug handle, there'd be a bank there. And
Well,
as you're
I don't know
going,
about that. That's
well,
that's his hope. That's not
that's
going
in
to
the
happen
concept
until we
plan.
talk about it.
And as you're going east on Deal Road and wanting to go north on Route 35, this plan would just have you make a left-hand turn onto 35.
That DOT shut that down.
It did, oh, well, that's the plans that are there now.
That's what's there now?
In Mr.
Coming
Kirk's
from the
office.
west, making a left?
Correct.
Okay. From what I heard, DOT was adamant about not having that happen, but I'll have to take a look.
Anyway,
Yeah, good.
I just want to make sure that the people, the people from the west side of town really can't get to the beach safely on a bike, and I can't imagine any way to do it, to tell you the truth, unless they do a flyover on the highway.
It's hard. I mean, that's the risky part. You can get the bike lanes connected from east to west, but crossing the street is going to be the difficult part.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. Yeah. Okay, that's one thing. And the other thing, at the last meeting I was at, you suggested that I attend the Shade Tree Commission and the Environmental Commission. Actually, I thought I was going to the Shade Tree Commission because it just said 7 p.m. for both of them.
You caught both.
Oh yeah, aren't I lucky? Yeah, so I was there for
You
a while.
volunteered too.
No, I did not.
I thought you raised your hand.
Yeah, well, that was waving goodbye. So that was a very interesting meeting. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff. And one of the things, a question I have is the tree ordinance, is it 2202? Is that still the active ordinance about the tree mitigation?
Yeah, so we've revised it a couple of times in the last 6 years. So
yeah, well, this is about 3 or 4 years
that's
old.
That's the latest.
Yeah, and I just wonder if there had been no amendments to this that you know of.
No.
Okay, because there's a lot of good information there, and that came up, of course, in the meeting the other night, and they were discussing things like when you take out a certain amount of trees, you're able to take out 4, and then after 4, you have to replace 2 trees or pay $350. One of the things that came up in discussion was that perhaps in this day and age of the cost of trees and labor and everything, perhaps $350 isn't enough. But
let's just say it could be revisited.
I'm sure they'll bring that up again. But there was a memo, I guess, written by the Shade Tree Commission or the Environmental Commission when they took a tour of the 32-acre site. And one of the things that came out of it, there was a projected, I think this is just using the formula in the ordinance, if 3,750 4-inch trees are taken down, it would cost in mitigation $1,312,500, which is a pretty good piece of change. I know you said in a prior meeting that the tree fund is a pretty good sized fund.
Yeah, not that big.
Okay. Well, it could be, apparently.
No, well, I think you said 4-inch trees. I think anything under 6, they don't even need a permit. They can just take them out. So they don't get charged for those, Dennis.
Well, I'm sorry, you're right. It's 6. The 3750 are the 6-inch trees, and they'd have to be replaced with 4-inch trees or
okay,
7,500 2.5-inch trees, or $1,312,500. So, is that what goes on? I mean, is that a normal thing?
Well, a tree replacement goes on. Sometimes they calculate a bulk rate on large acreage. So
is that what happened with like Toll Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a serious fund, a pile of money for trees. Is that fund specific to trees, or is that?
Yeah. So like I had mentioned, we can told Jackie we can take some money from the shade tree fund and supplant anything around parking lots or impervious surfaces to try to offset any of the runoff or extra runoff that you have. So we can use it for that, or even beautification projects or things in the park. So yeah.
Is that run by the Shade Tree Commission, or is that
Shade Tree and Environment? I've asked them if they want to give us a plan, a plan submitted to the council, and naturally we'd approve it, but we will certainly start that project at any time we get it.
Okay, good. Because I originally had gone there asking about a survey of Playa Park, the current health of the survey. And they were very amenable to that. They thought it was a good idea. In fact, it might even be bigger.
Project.
Unfortunately, we don't have any names yet. I just hope we'll have, who could do the project.
Oh.
Norm Colton said he's going to go back to Rutgers or talk to the people at Rutgers and try and get some suggestions. I have a couple of arborists I'm going to call.
Cool.
And hopefully by next meeting we'll have some update on that.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't get the Rutgers. They have a class for that. Have them come down and as a project and do a count and make recommendations. They do golf courses, so why not?
Okay.
Good. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay.
Yes, Jackie.
Excuse me. I just wanted to follow up on what Olga was saying. There isn't there. I understand there's a site, a report that the military has of cleanup sites. Isn't Deal Test Site on that?
Somebody pointed out that, yes, I'm very aware of it because somebody pointed out a few years ago, look, you're on this site, and we looked into it and got nothing back so far from the Department of Defense.
But you saw that Deal Test Site is on as a cleanup site.
It was on some list.
It has to be cleaned up. But
don't know if it has
no one
to be.
followed up when you reached out? Is that what
don't
happened?
know that it has to be cleaned up. They may have just done a study and say, here's your levels, which are consistent with, maybe that's within the limits, the tolerable. It might be what's allowed. We don't know because no one's gotten back to us. In other words, just
so is somebody on that as an assignment in the group?
You can dig in your backyard and you might find levels of arsenic or something else. It's just the way it is with acid rain and things like that. You're going to find something in your yard, whether it's within the limits of what's allowed. We haven't gotten any information back on that yet.
Well, now that it's Joe Playa Park, you don't think of it as Deal Test Site in the same way. I just remember when I bought my house, my mother kept saying, what were they testing for? She was like very concerned about
Well,
that.
it was a communications testing area.
Right. It was
that's what they were testing for.
Radio, but I think it was radioactive materials, right? No, someone told me
communications based.
Radio waves, right? Ship to shore, but not microwave.
They were testing radio waves.
I know that. Yeah, the ship to shore, they said the first radio transmission ship to shore was from there. But I also heard, and maybe this is wrong if you know the answer, that it was microwave and that type of wave testing took place as well.
Right.
Is that true?
Probably.
Okay. So to pick up on then the trees and the water, that's where conversation has come up that if the 32 acres were to go forward as planned today, that they're worried about the runoff from that coming into Joe Playa Park, which is already very wet, as I just spoke about a couple of minutes ago, and that runoff going through that soil coming into all of our yards could put toxic water running off from that.
They make calculations for that, Jackie, and if you go to the planning board, they'll tell you it's a 2,300 acre brook, and they account for what's going to be taken down, what's going to be put in there, and they have to show you a stormwater management plan that makes the situation equal to or better than what it is today. So they just because they take the trees down or put impervious surface doesn't mean they're going to make it, well, they're going to have 10 times the volume. Could be, but they engineer it not to be that way. That's in our ordinance.
But you understand the concern.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all concerned.
And okay, and how is it working at Toll Brothers now? The last meeting we were here, you said that there were 3 residents that couldn't move in because of water.
Well, we discussed it. I mean, the thing is, as we feel bad for the residents now, but as discussed in council, it'd be worse if 80 people moved in and they continue to have flooding problems. Best that we nip it in the bud now before they get in and hold the developers' feet to the fire
Mhm.
to correct the situation.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott Sharp, Wanamassa. I guess it's just a point of reference. Everybody was talking about the deal test site and talking to Mr. Gopal. This is a federal DOD
right.
thing. You should be talking with
Congressman.
Chris Smith
I reached
and
out
our
to
senators.
I reached out to Chris Smith about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Talked to his aide. Have a letter out to him, waiting for a response.
Then Gopal will have to go through 14 layers
Right.
of
Yeah,
bureaucracy.
it's a federal
So
thing.
he's a
Right. Our
wrong guy.
congressman is who we need.
Maybe, yeah, think about that one.
Yep. We did. Thank you. Jack, you have something?
Jack Mamie, Maplewood Avenue, Oakhurst. Just to bounce off of what you said about microwaves, and I just wanted to clarify that microwaves are not well, not unless you're, really close to them and getting cooked from the inside out. That's a different story. But they're not what we call ionizing, meaning they don't damage the DNA in your body. Everything up to light, visible light, is only heats things up. Doesn't really.
So what would be toxic?
What would be toxic is if they used any materials in construction that, back then, they used materials things that had asbestos, lead, arsenic, all these nasty things that we banned over the years as we learned how dangerous they were. So those are the more of the things that we would be concerned about. PCBs, especially for a lot of electronics back then used these PCB chemicals. So there's a lot of that can go on, but we won't know until we get. Obviously we have to get something from the government to see what they tested for.
What it is, right?
So it just because they tested radio doesn't mean it's radioactive. Radioactive means that there is a uranium deposit there, and it's it's actively giving off radiation, and that's something you can easily test for if you get a counter and you go in and see how much radiation is coming off the ground. So that's it.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Wealth of information.
All right. Anybody else? Well, seeing here no one, someone make a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
To adjourn, rather.
Deputy Mayor Long.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Napolitani.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming, and we air twice a day at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Channel 22 if you have files, and 77 if you have Cablevision. Good night, everybody.